Okay, I'm on my way to Denia today, and we're going to sign put an end to an inheritance, an intestate inheritance that we've been handling for the last 4 months. And this is just sort of so that people know the difficulties of intestacy and why you don't want to do it. We don't want it to happen to you. So in this case, this is a wife receiving the inheritance from her husband, who in turn had children from another marriage. He unfortunately passed away without a will, and he was a resident down there in Denia. So what's happened with this is, apart from the normal difficulties we've always spoken about, don't die intestate in Spain because the process is longer, it's more expensive. Apart from that, in this case, we've ended up with the wrong beneficiaries, if you like. Okay, so what people don't realise is how the beneficiaries are actually chosen when an inheritance is intestate, and it's not the way that they think. So if you pass away in Spain and you're intestate and there's no English will for worldwide assets either that we can mandate, the first thing we would need to do to initiate the procedure in Spain, after proving that there's no Spanish will, which is done by the Central Register, is determine which legislation is going to be applicable to how the estate is distributed. Okay, so this is now, we go down to a thing called Directive 6 from 2012, and it's very simple. If you pass away not having made a choice of law, which you won't have made if you haven't made a will, automatically they're going to apply in Spain the law of the last resident. So in this case, this person was resident here in Denia, resident in Spain, so we have to apply Spanish law. And there's a big difference between Spanish law and English law and succession law, and that is that in Spain, the lion's share goes to the children, while in the UK, the lion's share goes to the spouse. So, well, you can already see the problem here, and that is that basically this gentleman's children are going to receive most of the Spanish estate, which is obviously an enormous problem for the spouse, because she's not going to receive the majority of her husband estate. I mean, they've been married for over 20 years, so she just thought that she was going to receive the house here in Denia, but unfortunately she's not going to. The house was actually in joint name, so half the property was already hers, but in respect to the other half, the majority is going to go down to his children. Anyway, in this case it's all happy in the sense that everyone gets on really well. The children have come over to Spain and we're going to get this wound on. But in some other cases it can even be worse, because maybe it can be that the spouse doesn't get on well with the children, if they're children from another marriage, or even if they're